Welcome to The Perspective. We have an exciting one this week. For each of you tuning in, we're going to talk a little bit about the 42 plan. This booklet, as you onboard, you can receive a digital copy as well as this hard copy. It is the core of who we are in disrupting and changing the sales culture, trying to create golden parachutes rather than golden handcuffs. I'm going to read to you the mission statement. Our mission is to build real wealth for individuals so that we can live in a community driven by purpose rather than necessity. This book is awesome if you haven't had a chance to dive into it, but talks all about finances, compounding interest, savings plans, budgets, retirement savings. Gives you an idea of books to read, creating monthly budgets, 5-year plans that you can go target different risk categories that exist there, and even gives some examples of Ray Dalio, Warren Buffett, their portfolios and what those look like. This is a fantastic resource as you are earning commissions and trying to figure out what to do with that money. Recently in the news, the state of Florida just announced that they're going to do financial education in their high schools, which I think is awesome. And it's something that we have strongly adopted here at Radix to try and educate on finances. At the end of this book, there are 6 different tiers that can be earned. And in the process, number 1, silver, gold, emerald, ruby, diamond, and black. There are certain qualifications to go hit each one of these medallions. It starts off with having a financial freedom account and having a minimum of $10,000 earned with Radix, and then can all the way up to creating 42 net worth millionaires. So the black medallion is a net worth of $1 million. Up to that point, somebody is scaling along that process. We give out prizes and all sorts of things that honestly has almost nothing to do with sales, but everything to do with progressing in life and doing the right things with your money. We've called Dylan Clark in on the podcast, The Perspective. So glad to have him here. He this year went and earned the Ruby Medallion. So I'm gonna tell you the qualifications for that, and then we're gonna talk to him about it, and then the prize that he won that went along with that medallion. So the Ruby Medallion is tier number 4. Qualifications: you have to have a minimum of a $500,000 net worth and a minimum of $250,000 in Radix earnings. And then the reward is an investors conference of your choice. That's what you receive. And then the Ruby Medallion, which actually back behind me here, you can see we have lit up the Ruby Medallion back in the back, something that they received. So Dylan, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks so much for, bringing me on. I can't tell you enough, how cool the medallions are, and the fact that we go recognize people at the end of every year, not for their sales, but for, how they're treating their money in their bank accounts and how they're growing their personal wealth. I was just at a recruiting meeting last night, and it was probably the number one thing that made those guys want to come work here was the fact that we're not just going to teach them how to make money and sell, and we're also going to teach them what to do with that money and reward them for doing the right things with their money.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. You're somebody that started out at a very young age, knocking doors at 16. We should take an hour and do this podcast. We tend to try and keep it to 15 minutes, but you have
so much we can talk.
Dudes, you have such a cool story. Ultimately a dropout of high school. You grew up in a trailer house in a small town, and you have become the American dream, honestly. And you have done that through sales, started knocking doors at 16, and from day one figured out you have a tremendous amount of discipline. You figured out how how to take care of your money and do the right things with it. Give me an idea of this Ruby medallion and your net worth, some of the things that you have done to go create your current net worth, because you have some pretty cool things you've done.
Yeah, I love that. Number one, I wasn't always doing the right things. When I started at a young age, I was doing a lot of the wrong things, and I noticed I wasn't really getting anywhere. Even though that I was making good money, I still wasn't, able to grow my growth. So when the 42 came out, it really started to push me to invest, and I was able to start investing into real estate, where now I own a few properties, and we do very well. And I've been able to build that up to, go produce a really good passive income for myself. I've pretty much taken the money that I've made from sales and went and put it into cash flowing assets. Whether it's real estate, I do an e-com business online as well, where we do Amazon sales in the stock market. And, I've known Dave Force, since I was 16. I've known Nick since I think 17 years old. And, they've been able to guide me in the right ways and teach me, how to go save the money to be able to be in the point to actually be able to invest. Because a lot of people want to invest, but they can't qualify for the deal or they don't know how. And when I was, rewarded for the Ruby medallion, after I went and put all my money to work and I was able to go get a net worth over 500K, I was rewarded for that. And the reward came with, for me to go to any conference. So that was kind of the thing that I got to win was, hey, Dylan, not only did we recognize you for working hard and putting your money to work and creating assets to be able to have this type of network, but we're also going to go, one up it and give you a reward and go to any conference you want in the world. So that's why I'm repping the 10X hat today. Dude, you got to love 10X, right? So unfortunately, I went and picked one of the most expensive conferences, right? Go get my money's worth. And it was so cool because they could have bought me a trip to Hawaii. They could have got me some new tennis shoes. They could have got me an Xbox. But instead, they're really pushing people to educate themselves even further. And I have had a great experience. They paid for the ticket for me. There was no hassle. Our finance guy, DJ, reached out. He gave me the ticket. I was able to go to this conference and even learn more and start growing my net worth to, over $1 million, which is very exciting.
Yeah. And I mean, you're well on your way from that. You were fairly conservative about it. You've got a handful of real estate investments in Tennessee as short-term rentals. You've got some homes in Arizona, and then a couple side businesses generating other income. There takes a unique person to be able to go out and knock doors and be really successful at it. And I'm going to go get back at this because it's the discipline that it takes to go be successful. We can train, somebody like you who's managed for years, you've trained so many people on how to sell. The difference between somebody like yourself and somebody that hasn't been able to go accomplish these things is typically the discipline to be able to get on the doors every single day, go fight through the no's and go get the yes every single day. And then the discipline to go take that money and not just go spend it on whatever, right? And then you've gone and invested in it. What you have done is so awesome. You have such a cool story. People can follow you on social media and see the things that you've done. I know you jump on there and give tips, and a lot of people follow you for that reason. Tell us a little bit about the conference. So you fly out to Florida. That just happened. You were just there this weekend, which is why it's cool to talk about it. You go you earned it in January, quick delivery. You're at the conference.
Yeah.
Give me some takeaways from that conference.
Yeah, quick delivery. I want to say that one more time. That's the best feeling, right? Some of these guys wait a whole year to pay out on their incentives, Radix on top of that. But yeah, it was just last weekend. It was interesting because, this event was sold out and they didn't release any of the speakers. So I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I didn't know who I was going to see or meet or learn from, but I do have a couple takeaways I'll share. I was in the building with Donald Trump, our ex-president, which was just a shocker. I mean, wow, that guy coming out. And for one, that makes Grant Cardone a pretty ballsy guy. to bring that guy on stage.
Yeah, he's a pretty controversial person right now.
Yeah, 100%. But it was funny because, they're talking about wealth, and a lot of people seem to forget that Donald was a billionaire before he was the president. And that the guy has grown tremendous wealth in his life. And one thing that I learned from him is being exposed. Like, this is one of the reasons why, we do this podcast, is so people outside from Radix can, watch this video and learn more about Radix and what we do. And exposure is such a big part of growth, is what I really learned. That, if 5 million people know who you are, then you're going to be pretty successful. If 100 people know who you are, then it's going to be pretty tough to sell anything. And he told the story. He was on stage and he was talking to Grant. He says, "Hey, I got a jet too. And mine's bigger than yours." And Grant goes, Yeah. I got a question though. Why do you leave your jet outside the hangar? You got a $150 million airplane and you don't even park it. Everybody else has these hangars and, they're parking these planes in there to protect them. Why do you leave yours right outside every day? And he says, because every single time somebody lands at that airport, I want them to see my name on a jet. And I want to go give myself more exposure. And it just leads back to, again, the more people that know who you are and that know your vision and that know what you're trying to accomplish, is the more tickets you're going to sell. It's the more, momentum you're going to have in your life, and it's the more success you're going to be able to gain. That's a big reason why I do videos and on my social media, trying to teach other people, how to grow their network within solar and working here, and then turning that into investments and being able to do that. The more people I can touch, is obviously the more successful I will become. So that's one of the big takeaways. One, what do you think about that?
That's awesome. He's got a giant billboard for the millions of people that fly into the airport. I think that's pretty. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Smart move. It's like don't go tuck your name away. Go put it out there for people to see. I've seen you post this recently in the last few days, but it's something that we say often and have said often at Radix as part of the culture, is that your network is your net worth. The people you associate 100%. With, and which is what you're talking about, right? I was able to.
Yeah, not only learning from the event, but I was able to go network outside the event. Everybody that else was going there, and I was able to go recruit a ton of people that now want to come sell solar this summer, that I would have never been able to talk to or meet if I wasn't there, and I would have never been able to be there if it wasn't for Radix to go and pay for this ticket for me to go on this trip. Now I probably would have been there anyway because I wanted to go really bad, but the fact that I didn't have to pay for it, and I was able to not only learn knowledge, but grow my team here at Radix, and be able to go, I met a Cutco guy. He sells knives still. I said, "You're still selling knives, man? Jeez. Do you know that solar exists? Let me tell you about it." And he's going to go bring his team of 14 guys out this summer.
That's awesome. I think you're like the perfect example of somebody who can help people understand that you need to go have something that's generating cash, right? And for you, that's solar sales, and you're out there, that you build teams, and there's overrides that come with managing and recruiting. And so as you're generating that cash, then you take that cash, buy assets that generate you more cash. And I think, often you hear different people, whether it's Cardone or Gary Vee or any of these people talking about it. It's like, don't turn off the spigot. Don't turn off the cash flow, the things that are buying the assets.
Yeah. And that's where people go wrong, because they build up some assets and then they stop working because they got cash flow. But let me tell you something else I learned at this conference, or in general in this industry, is if you're not getting better and you're not growing, then you're dying. There's no such thing as staying in one place in this world, in this life. So you're either getting better and you're growing, or you're not. And you can't just go lock down a couple Airbnbs or go lock down a couple, cash flowing investments and say, "I'm good, I'm done." No, the point is to let those go make money for you, but to go 10 times more effort into your job that's producing the cash to go buy deals, so you can just keep buying more and more and more and more deals. And you definitely don't want to lift your foot on the pedal, because people do that, and then they get to the point where inflation goes up, things are more expensive, and that cash flow might have been nice then, but now it's not as nice, and they missed out on the opportunity of being able to create money. Why fix something if it's broken, not broken? And solar's not broken, right? So even though that I have these things on the side, I'm still going to go, exercise the fact that I can go make a ton of money in the door-to-door industry and keep funding deals.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Okay. So, with the 42 status, and you've got the medallions along the way. Um, I genuinely believe,
I'm
here.
going for that diamond.
Yeah. I think you're going to hit it here pretty quick. Diamond, $1 million in lifetime earnings with Radix. And the reward there is a trip for two anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
Kind of that.
I'll have that at the end of the year. You bet your butt on that.
Okay. I'm watching. The thing that I love the most about the medallions is that it's a ladder, it's a stepping stone. Cause I think sometimes, all too often, we're watching and we're almost expecting people to jump off a cliff. Like, hey, you might have a bunch of debt, no savings, you're not making great money, and you're watching all these people online, and somehow you're expected to go from there to having a private jet, right? And the medallions give you very clear steps that you can take to work along the way. I guess kind of as a departing message to people, what is your advice on things that they can do? Say I'm starting out today and I'm shooting for the number one, I'm shooting for silver, I want to get out of debt, have a financial freedom account. What are some steps that I can take along the way that are going to help me in that process?
Yeah. I mean, one thing that, the way that they have the medallions, I'm looking at the book here, they have it set up in a way that makes the most sense. They're not trying to make you to go make $100,000 on your first thing. They're trying to make you to go make $10,000, and more importantly, have financial freedom, because that's the first step. And if I'm you, I would be going to my manager, I would be going to my DM, I'd be going to my regional and saying, hey, obviously you have already figured this out, and you've already earned the silver medallion. You have already earned the gold, the emerald, the ruby. Most DMs at Radix have already earned those. So I'd really be asking them and using my network, as much as possible, and trying to learn, hey, what's ways that I can save money so I can have financial freedom, so I can go earn this at the next award ceremony. And most importantly, go keep yourself accountable. That's the number one thing. And that's what I think that this book does, right? It keeps you accountable, and it keeps you focused on, man, I really want to go hit this goal at the end of the year. I really want to go get this medallion. So your managers and your leadership above you, ask them, hey, I need you to keep me accountable on saving money. I need you to keep me accountable on making sales consistently. So at the end of the year, I can take one of these home.
I love that. So essentially, go seek out a mentor, right? Somebody that's close by you that's done it already, and then ask that person, how did you do it? And will you hold me accountable to get there? I love that.
100%.
Yeah. I love that. I'll say it again, kind of as we started, but I love your story, and
yeah, I'd love to do a longer podcast, jump into it more. I love talking about my story because it's my story, and if I can help somebody else, believe that they can do it too, that's a win for me.
Yeah, that's the thing that's so awesome about your story, is that it wasn't, you weren't born with the silver spoon, right? Like they say. I mean, it wasn't like your parents had all this money, and it wasn't like you were put in a situation where, you had an uncle who introduced you to somebody. Like you started from the ground up, knuckle dragging work, and made it happen. And to me, it's an inspiration to so many people of, hey, I can do it too, right? Like there is a path that I can do it too.
100%. And one thing I will say that's contributed to my success is I haven't jumped around. Again, when I say I started working for Dave when I was 16, I still work for Dave. I was able to find a good leadership group in a company. Not every company has a good leadership group. So if you're here and you're listening and, you're being a part of Radix, this is the right place for you. And I can tell you that from, years of experience since I was 16 that you're in the right place, and that the leaders here are going to be able to teach you and give you the right recipes for success. And the fact that I haven't left and I've stuck here, and I've listened and lowered the ego, and been able to be teachable, coachable through this experience gave me a lot of success.
Gosh, yeah, I love that. You're probably one of the greatest ambassadors of Radix, and thank you for taking a few minutes out of your day. I know you had some appointments this morning. You got some appointments this afternoon, so thanks for taking a minute out of your schedule. Love you to death, man, and have a fantastic week, everybody.
Yeah, you too. Let's go kill it.